Good afternoon. My name is Cody Polowski and I'm retelling the story Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived on the edge of the woods. She had received a cloak, with a red cloak with a red hood from her grandmother, and that is how she got the name Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Mother had received a letter from Grandma telling them she was not feeling good and that she would like some bread and honey brought over. Her mother thought and thought. She just didn't have the time to go today to her mother's house. So she decides to let Little Red Riding Hood go. She thinks about it. She's like, oh, she's old enough. But she gives some guidelines to Little Red Riding Hood. No going off the path. Do not talk to strangers. Go right there and come home. So, Little Red Riding Hood, she throws the bread in her backpack, throws the honey in her backpack, and she heads out on her adventure to Grandma's house on the other side of the woods. And Little Red Riding Hood hops down the path, and her mom's waving goodbye quite happily. And Little Red Riding Hood sees some beautiful flowers right by a tree in the not so distant. And forgetting what her mom said, she hustles over there, starts picking the flowers, makes this beautiful set of flowers. Then a wolf jumps out from behind the tree and says, "Good afternoon, what a lovely bunch of flowers you have there." And Little Red Riding Hood says, "They're for my grandma's, I'm going to my grandma's house, I'm not allowed to talk to strangers," and hustles off down the path. And the wolf in the background yells, "Perhaps I will see you again later." And the wolf hustles down the back roadway to the house. Little Red Riding Hood keeps on walking, not thinking anything of it, and she gets to Grandma's house, and the door's open, and the lights are off. And Little Red Riding Hood's like, this is kind of weird. I wonder why the door's open. But the lights are off, and she's not feeling good, so Little Red Riding Hood thinks she must be sleeping. So Little Red Riding Hood tiptoes her way into the house, being very quiet, and somebody from the bed yells, "Oh, how are you today?" And Little Red Riding Hood says, "Wow, what big ears you have." And the response is, "Yes, they are better to hear you with." And then Little Red Riding Hood says, "Oh, what big eyes you have." And the response is, "Yes, they make it better so I can see you." And Little Red Riding Hood creeps up towards the bed and says, "Oh, what big teeth you have." And the wolf rips off her nightcap and says, "Yes, better to eat you with." And Little Red Riding Hood screams as loud as possible, "Ah, help!" And luckily a woodman comes in the door and scares the wolf off, and the wolf's running out the door. And then Little Red Riding Hood says, "Where's my grandma?" cryingly. And then next thing you know, there's a thump on the closet door. "Help!" And the woodman goes and helps her grandma out. And the grandma says, "There's nothing like a good fight to cure a cold. How about I help warm up some water and make you all some tea?"